Welcome to the Ruby Shoes podcast, delivering the very best local entertainment news across East Anglia. This week, it's a very special episode for the Ruby Shoes podcast as we've reached another milestone. Would you believe it's our 90th episode today? Throughout the whole creation of the Ruby Shoes podcast, it's been about giving a voice to our hardworking live artists and actors who are performing for you here in Suffolk and sometimes Norfolk too when I've got room to fit them in. Now, this week's episode is no different. We talk first to the Sudbury Dramatic Society about their fascinating new play, Value Engineering, which has been created using actual evidence from the Grenfell Disaster trial. And then we talk to a couple of actors who were in a rather different adaptation of Jeckyll and Hyde at the lovely Maddermarket Theatre in Norwich. Then we're hoping to catch a word with the cast on opening night, which is tonight at the new Wolsey Theatre, before they perform Sherlock Holmes the Hunt for Moriarty. Plus, as always, we'll have a roundup of some of the region's theatre shows that you really won't want to miss. And then finally, I've got a bit of exciting news for the Ruby Shoes podcast lovers alike. Sudbury Dramatic Society presents Value Engineering at the Key Theatre in Sudbury from Tuesday the 9th through to Saturday the 13th of September. To tell us more, let's welcome the director, Mike Fahy Wilson. Mike, thank you so much for joining us for the Ruby Shoes podcast this morning.
Pleasure.
You're very welcome. Now, tell us first of all how you came across Value Engineering in the first place, because it's a political drama, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I think I came across it because it was shown on Channel 4 some years ago, an abbreviated version. But I bought the script because it was so fascinating, the whole story of all the characters involved, and there are a lot of them, 16, and it fascinated me.
Yeah.
So I proposed it as a play to Sudbury Dramatic Society, and they liked it. They wanted to do it. I think that's the best way of describing it. Yeah, they thought it should be done and wanted it to be done.
And it's all about the terrible disaster which took place at the Grenfell Tower in London. But what's really unusual about it, this political drama has been created from actual spoken evidence, I understand.
That's exactly right. Yes, it is. It is not a drama. It's not a drama documentary in the same way as the Post Office drama documentary is. It is, as you say, the script is entirely taken from spoken evidence, and it leaves you, the audience, to make up your mind about the guilt or otherwise of the people giving the evidence.
I mean, that's interesting, isn't it? Because my next question was going to be, will the audience come away with any sort of better understanding of how on earth something like that could have happened?
Oh, I think they will. I certainly have. And one of the most enjoyable, if that's the right word, or interesting things about the whole production is how all the members of the cast, 15 or 16 of us, have come away with a deeper understanding of what happened, yes, from rehearsals.
Oh, I imagine so. How are the rehearsals going? Because I would imagine it's quite a tough thing to direct, but also to perform, to be an actor in it as well. It must be, quite a big ask, I would imagine.
Yeah, very different too. Quite demanding but there are 15 or 16 actors, and each one, most of them anyway, has a relatively small role as one of the witnesses. There is a major role for the counsel to the inquiry, a QC, the lead actor. But otherwise, they're really self-contained, and each one is a different character. And we've been very careful to ensure that we are playing the character involved and not adding layers of our own interpretation. Yes.
And normally you would, wouldn't you? So that must be really hard to kind of sort of peel that back and think, no, we've got to keep this true to what actually happened. So, well done for you for bringing that forward as well. I mean, you said that the cast initially were really positive about it. Did anybody take any persuading when you were trying to describe what you'd like to do next with the Sudbury Dramatic Society?
No, that was one of the joys of it. Well, it's a very democratic process with Sudbury Dramatic Society. Our potential directors put forward a play to the committee, and they organise a day where members come along and hear an extract from the play performed, and then they vote on whether they'd like to be seen that put on for the next year's programme. And to my joy, they did. They voted for it, amongst others, but they voted for it. And also, it was a great joy to find people who wanted to audition and be in it. Yeah. So, if I may, congratulations to Sudbury Dramatic Society for encouraging me to do it in one way or another. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And it's a story that needs to be told. And I think the fact that
Yes.
you grabbed that and ran with the idea, and it's quite a brave choice as well, is
Oh,
really,
thank
really
you.
good. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
so
Yeah.
well done you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been very rewarding,
Mm.
and I am looking forward to it. It's a dress rehearsal tonight, opening tomorrow.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I hope that it all goes brilliantly for you. Please send our best wishes to the rest of the cast, and I'm sure it will be incredible. And just as I say, a really, really clever choice. And a really important choice, and something that needs to be told. It would be lovely to think that you literally sort of start a chain reaction, and that several dramatic societies across the country think, do you know what? Mike did a brilliant job of that. We need to do that as well. And it almost starts like a mini tour.
Thank you.
That would be wonderful. Mike, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Before you disappear, how do we get hold of the last remaining tickets?
The Key Theatre website, Key Theatre Sudbury website is the best place. Yes.
It is, and that's nice and easy. It's just keysudbury.com. You can get your tickets there. Keysudbury.com. It's value engineering, all presented by the Sudbury Dramatic Society. And as I say, that's on from Tuesday the 9th right through to Saturday the 13th. So you can get your last remaining tickets there. Thank you so much for your time today, Mike. Really
Well,
appreciate
thank you
it.
for the opportunity. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
The Maddermarket Theatre in Norwich is playing host to a Neil Bartlett adaptation of the classic story Jeckyll and Hyde, with performances this month from Tuesday the 23rd to Saturday the 27th of September, and it's directed by Jenseka Alexander. Joining me now, two of the cast, Caitlin and Christopher. Welcome both of you to the Ruby Shoes podcast.
Hello, thank you.
Now, Caitlin, let me start with you first. Tell me a little bit about the story.
So I don't know if many of your listeners have read Jeckyll and Hyde, but this is quite a different take on it. So my character isn't in the book at all. And so the book is written in the late Victorian period and is very male focused. There's not many women in the story, and the women are sort of plot devices rather than actual characters. So this version of the play has really taken sort of a view where women actually get to view the case and are investigating it. So my character is sort of a very interested doctor investigating and discovering the strange case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Oh, wow. That is quite different, isn't it? I was going to say, Chris, tell me the main differences, because it's an adaptation, but clearly that's certainly one of them. Tell me about your character and some of the differences that you've noticed as well.
Oh, well, there aren't many differences in my character from the original story. In fact, I think my character is true to the original story, because in famous adaptations on TV and screen of Jeckyll and Hyde, when Dr. Jekyll transforms into the monster, he literally becomes a monster. You know, he grows these big, horrible muscles and hair starts sprouting all over his face, and he turns into this very sort of physically grotesque thing. But that's not what happens at all. You know, it's mostly a psychological effect, the transformation has. And Neil Bartlett has been more true to that, which I'm very grateful by, because small guy, I can't come across as very physically menacing. So it's requiring all my best acting to be menacing in other ways.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of being an actor, though. That must be quite fun playing the baddie, really.
Oh, yeah, no, I love it. Maybe a bit more than I should. I've got two young children, and I'm often in a position where I just love to, turn into a monster if I could and express how I feel, but that wouldn't be very good parenting. So I guess all that pent-up rage that I've had for 8 years has finally found an outlet.
Although children quite like it if you do turn into the monster just temporarily and chase them.
Oh yeah, temporarily.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Then you go back to being the nice dad, which I'm sure you are. Caitlin,
Well, I like to think so.
have you played a part like this before? Because it sounds like you're playing a very sort of strong woman character.
Strangely, I often get cast as men. So I am really relishing the chance to play this strong, independent woman who, being one of the very first doctors in the Victorian period who is a woman is so interesting to sort of inhabit that role. And you don't get the chance to have these sort of roles very often.
And do you think that actually what Neil Bartlett has done is given us a more of a true picture of Victorian times? Or do you think literally women were very much in the background still, and he's just sort of saying, wouldn't it be nice if women did have more, we'd have been able to perhaps solve cases in even a different way because women would think differently, potentially?
I think, well, women are always in history. It's just often their stories don't get told because it is very much written by the men in that time period. So I think women would have been involved, but they wouldn't have had their stories told. So this is a chance to get that story told. And it was sort of the chance of women first getting into the workplace in a very small way.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. Go on, Chris.
A nice story that the writer talks about at the beginning of the script in his foreword is the fact that he got the name of Caitlin's character from the first female doctor in a ward at the Royal London Infirmary. So these things did happen. Women did achieve things, but they were very much unsung, and it's nice that he pays homage to that in this play.
Definitely. Like Caitlin said, they were almost sort of written out, really, because often the writing was done by men, so it wasn't seen as, necessary, maybe, which is terrible now in this day and age, but you can kind of almost sort of see that. It sounds really, really interesting, actually. Tell me a bit about your acting background. I'll start with Caitlin. Have you done something like this? Well, you say you often play male parts.
Yeah. I've sort of been involved in amateur acting since I was quite young. I think I started doing shows when I was about 14, but I started originally doing musical theatre, which is quite different. But sort of I've moved on from musical theatre. I've done some Shakespeare. So I've performed at the Maddermarket before. I've performed at the Theatre Royal in a couple of musicals, which was really fun, but very much Norwich-based, Norfolk-based sort of things.
Yeah. And what about you, Chris?
Oh, I've done a lot of the Maddermarket before. It's one of my favourite places, indeed. I'm often very sort of shy, sort of socially, but something happens to me when I get on that particular stage, and I can be anything. So it's no stretch to say that it's my happy place on the boards at the Maddermarket Theatre.
Yeah, we were in a production all together of Twelfth Night, and Chris's Malvolio was something to behold.
And Caitlin played a male.
Yeah, of course she did.
Oh no, I was playing a man. I was playing Sebastian in that production.
Now, Chris, just tell us a little bit about the Maddermarket Theatre, because it is a really special place, isn't it? If people haven't been,
it's amazing. It's one of the gems of Norwich, I think, and a real shame that not many people know about it. And I'll encourage anyone just to take a walk by if they get chance. It's very close to the city centre. If you see the Belgian monk, you're in the right place. Just head down St John's Alley, St John Maddermarket, and you'll see the theatre there. It's a wonderful 3-seater auditorium that plays host to everything from the drama productions of the Maddermarket players to visiting musicians and comedy shows and everything in between. Yeah.
Brilliant. And then, Caitlin, how can we get hold of tickets to see this version of Jeckyll and Hyde?
So I would encourage anyone to go to the Maddermarket website and just look at what's on, and you'll see Jeckyll and Hyde is on the last full week of September, starting on the 23rd, I believe. I'm very bad at dates.
I'm glad you know that. I've forgotten.
Okay. But I would really encourage people to come see it with an open mind, because it is a very abstract version of the play. and it is really something very interesting to watch.
Definitely.
Don't come expecting happiness and warmth.
No, this is not a cuddly production.
No.
It sounds fascinating. Thank you both of you for your time today. Chris and Caitlin, all from the Maddermarket Theatre. We're very much looking forward to seeing it ourselves. It's on, as Caitlin has just said, it's on from Tuesday the 23rd through to Saturday the 27th of September. So get your tickets, go to the Maddermarket Theatre, and you can get your tickets on their website.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sherlock Holmes the Hunt for Moriarty opens tomorrow night at the new Wolsey Theatre in Ipswich. London 1901, as the British Empire wages war in the name of a queen whose health is failing, a series of mysterious events reveals a crack in the high corridors of power, one that threatens to destabilise the monarchy, government and empire. And at its centre, controlling the flow of information and influence, a shadowy figure plans their final deadly move. It's performed by the Black Eyed Theatre, and I'm joined now by Adrian McDougall, who's the founder and artistic director. Adrian, welcome to the Ruby Shoes podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Now, this sounds fascinating, right up my street. Tell us more about the story. What can we expect from tomorrow night as the audience?
Well, it's a lot of adventure. It's a thriller. Anyone who has seen Sherlock Holmes or read Sherlock Holmes will have a good idea of what to expect. It's based on. It's unique for us actually because we have produced 2 Sherlock Holmes productions previously, and they're both based on 2 of Conan Doyle's full-length novels, The Sign of Four and The Valley of Fear. But this is a bit different. This is The Hunt for Moriarty, and that's an original play written by Nick Lane. But it's based upon a number of short stories. And what Nick Lane has done is taken 3 or 4 of those short stories and threaded them together. And the thread is essentially Moriarty, and underlying these mysteries is his presence, and so it's a political thriller. It's about espionage, it's about international conspiracy, the play that Nick's written is really clever. It's there's loads in it for audiences to get excited about. There's sword fights. There's all of the characters you'd expect. I think you've got obviously Holmes and Watson. You've got Moriarty may or may not put in an appearance. I'm not going to spoil that one. Mycroft is a part of this story. Maybe Irene Adler, who fans of Sherlock Holmes will know as another of sort of a match for Sherlock, and a lot of the other characters that people will be familiar with.
It sounds really good, and it sounds like this play is a bit of a gift, really, because Sherlock Holmes is fantastic anyway, but sometimes there's so much detail and so much going on, it's quite hard, whereas this sounds a bit more, I don't know if I should say fast-paced, but, the fact that you've got all these different stories interlocking, no sooner you're trying to sort of work out one bit than you're going off somewhere else. You think, oh, hang on a minute. And I think as an audience that's hungry for that type of drama, I think it will probably work very well.
It does move. Yeah, it's fairly fast-moving. Equally, and this is a challenge, I think, with... I'm not a writer myself, but here's the challenge with putting something like Sherlock Holmes on stage. It has to be a mystery that has enough about it in terms of how complicated it is, so that the audience isn't ahead of Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes has to be, to a certain extent, one step ahead of us. So there is going to be an element of if you're going to see it, it's you do need to concentrate. There is a plot there, and there's a lot going on, a lot to consider, lots of clues, and it's that there's a really fine line. You've got to make it accessible enough so audience get it ultimately, but not too easy, so that they're ahead of Sherlock Holmes. You know what I mean? That's the challenge, I think, for us in presenting it in a way that's entertaining, but still there is a challenge there. You've got to concentrate. Yeah.
So do you ever go into the bar, halfway through and just earwig on people's conversations, and when they're saying, well, I think it's probably, and you see the thing is when he did that, it's probably this, do you ever sort of go and listen and think, no, you're wrong? That's not what happened.
Well, we've only been open a few days, so I haven't had much of a chance to do that. I have overhear audiences chatter and say what they think, and that's great, really interesting. I haven't heard too much in the way of what in terms of the plot and what I think is going on, but I think there's so much. A lot of it happens second half. A lot of the first half is a bit of a setup, and then the second half is the sort of more the payoff. But I think I think there's something for everyone in this, and yeah, I mean, for me, it's great to see audiences' reactions, and thankfully, so far, it's been really positive for this one. So.
I'm sure. I mean, who doesn't like Sherlock Holmes and a good whodunit as well? We're certainly very much looking forward to seeing it. Have you performed at the New Wolsey before?
No. This is our first visit, which is really exciting. And I know that sounds, it's obvious I'm going to say that, but it genuinely is. The New Wolsey is it's one of these theatres that has a really strong theatre audience, and that sounds a bit obvious, doesn't it? But there are a lot of venues we tour to that have a more eclectic range of arts that they present, like music, comedy, tribute bands, etc. The New Wolsey is an example of a theatre, a playhouse that has, such a strong theatre repertoire and history of presenting theatre. So it's lovely to go to a theatre that's got such a strong theatre background, theatre history.
And also the theatres are very the whole setting of the theatre is a very intimate kind of setting, so you always feel as the audience as though you're part of what's going on stage. You don't feel disconnected at any point, and sometimes, especially when you're seeing something that's potentially going to be quite shall we say scary or a little bit sort of a thriller, you're literally sitting there with your heart in your mouth thinking, oh God, I hope it doesn't come my way. But that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So you'll love that, because you will literally be able to hear the gasps from the audience as if they're standing right next to you.
Yeah, great. I think you're right. I think that sort of the way the auditorium itself is sort of almost surrounds the stage, doesn't it? It's not quite a thrust stage, but yeah, there is a certain amount of the stage comes out into the audience a bit, and that, I'm sure that makes it more immersive and makes it, yes, as you say, rightly, a joy for the actors, and I hope too for the audience.
Oh, it will be, definitely. We're very much looking forward to it. It's on from tomorrow. That's Tuesday the 9th through to Saturday the 13th of September. You can get your tickets by going to newwolseytheatre.co.uk, and you need to snap them up because they're going to go quickly. I just know that. Adrian, thank you so much for your time today. And please say leg to the rest of the cast, and we will look forward to seeing you in a couple of days' time. And anyone, it does give a big gasp in the audience. It'll probably be me. I love stuff like that. So thank you so much, and good luck for the rest of the tour.
Thanks so much.
Now, I did promise you some exciting news about the Ruby Shoes podcast. Although I can't say too much yet, I can let you know that there are exciting plans currently being put in place to broaden the reach of the Ruby Shoes podcast. Already, our regular What's On's guide is shared across 3 radio stations as well as this podcast, and we've been asked to do much more. So keep your ear to the ground for now, and I promise I'll share the news with you as soon as I'm able to. I'm just finalising details, but it does mean that very soon even more people will get to hear more about our fabulously thriving live entertainment scene we have here in East Anglia.
What's on across Suffolk with Stephanie McIntyre, sponsored by Ruby Shoes Podcast, your weekly entertainment news podcast, available from your smart speaker, Apple, Spotify, or you just follow Ruby Shoes Podcast on Facebook and click on the weekly podcast link to listen.
There's a host of great shows on offer across Suffolk's magnificent theatres, and here's just a selection to tempt you. Tuesday the 9th through to Saturday the 13th of September at the New Wolsey Theatre in Ipswich, Sherlock Holmes the Hunt for Moriarty. The game is afoot for the famous Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson in this thrilling drama. London 1901, as the British Empire wages war in the name of a queen whose health is failing, a series of mysterious events reveals a crack in the high corridors of power, one that threatens to destabilise the monarchy, government and empire. And at its centre, controlling the flow of information and influence, a shadowy figure plans their final deadly move. Drawn into the game and unsure who to trust, Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson confront figures from their past in a desperate race against time, aware that the most powerful person in the world could be in the pocket of one of the most corrupt. But just how much is Holmes willing to sacrifice to avoid checkmate? For your tickets, go to wolseytheatre.co.uk. Sudbury Dramatic Society presents Value Engineering at the Key Theatre in Sudbury from Tuesday the 9th through to Thursday the 11th of September. The Grenfell Disaster, a great corporate scandal of our time. How did it happen? Who was responsible for this tragedy? Why, 7 years later, has no one been charged with wrongdoing? A thought-provoking political drama made entirely from spoken evidence given to the Grenfell Tower inquiry provides some answers. Performed by the Sudbury Dramatic Society. For tickets, go to keysudbury.com. Thursday the 11th September, this time at the Haverhill Arts Centre, it's open mic night. And it's your chance to support local comedians, poets, musicians and singers in Haverhill as they show off their best or new material. Fancy testing your own comedy skills on a grand stage? Want to sing using professional audio equipment? Do you have a dream of performing live in front of a crowd? Well, why not come along and take part? Contact Haverhill Arts Centre to find out more about performing too. Go to haverhillartscentre.co.uk. Friday the 12th from 6:30pm, how about a sunset cruise along the River Orwell? You're invited to join the Mayor of Ipswich, Councillor Stefan Long, for a late summer's evening cruise down the beautiful Orwell on the sailing barge Victor. Join him and set sail out of the historic Ipswich Wet Dock and out under the Orwell Bridge for a relaxing river cruise. A welcome drink will of course be served on arrival. During the cruise, a delicious dinner will also be served. There'll be a bar on board to purchase drinks, and there'll also be a charity raffle with proceeds going to the Mayor's chosen charities, Each and Dora Brown. For your tickets, go to ipswichtheatres.co.uk. And finally, on Saturday the 13th of September at the Seagull Theatre in Lowestoft, Wrong Seating Plan Through the Decades with Elvis Presley and Buddy Holly. Two West End artists perform songs through the decades from Buddy Holly and Elvis Presley's catalogue of hits. Mark Robinson from Stars in Their Eyes and Buddy the Musical with all the authentic attire from horn-rimmed glasses to the Stratocaster guitar. And Steve Halliday, who was a finalist in BBC One's World's Greatest Elvis and recently seen over 1,000 times in Las Vegas. Both come together to create an evening of pure nostalgia. Will rock and roll in Lowestoft ever die? That'll be the day. Go to theseagull.co.uk for your tickets. And don't forget, you can always get in touch with us via our Facebook page. We're at Ruby Shoes Podcast. We always love to hear about your forthcoming plays, comedy nights, your Amdram groups, or any kind of show, festival or event in East Anglia. And we can let everybody else know about it too. You can listen again to the Ruby Shoes Podcast via Apple, Spotify, or your favourite podcast host. And you can find our podcast links on our Facebook page and follow us there too, of course. And you can also listen to Ruby Shoes now every week on YouTube. Yeah, just type in Ruby Shoes Podcast and there will be, and you can see all our past episodes as well. Make sure you have a great week. I'm Steph McIntyre and we really appreciate you listening to the Ruby Shoes Podcast, celebrating all the brilliant things we have when it comes to live theatre and entertainment.